Hey, this is Mr. York, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about iMovie a little bit. We're going to try to do something a little bit different that I haven't tried to do in iMovie. Normally I do this in Final Cut Pro, no problem, but I don't know if I've ever tried to do this in iMovie, and since a lot of you guys are using this in distance, I thought maybe that would be a good way to go. This is our brand new MacBook Air that the district just bought, so if the formatting looks a little bit different or the version of this looks a little different, don't worry about it. It's essentially the same. Says iMovie, right? Just remember to open up the purple star. That is iMovie. If you have 4 stars, then that's probably Final Cut Pro. So totally different. If we look at right here, where it says Create New. If I click on it, there are two different options that we have. Making a regular movie, and then they thought years ago that everyone was going to make these trailers, and it was going to be a thing, and everybody was going to have these cool-looking trailers, very dramatic. It didn't really ever become a thing. I don't know that there was ever that much use for them, but they are still there, and they've left it there. Somebody spent a lot of time on that template, I guess. So you pick movie. There we go. And shoots up. And now the movie that I'm going to be working on today is a little bit different. It's actually right back here, because this is Apple, and Apple wants everything open at the same time. That is one of the biggest differences I find between Windows and Mac, is that Mac, you want to have everything open, all your windows stacked on top of each other, things hidden, and Windows typically wants to have a window separate. So the first thing we're going to do is try to import our media. And in Final Cut Pro, you'd have to save first, but in iMovie, you don't even have to bother. So I'm going to start with this stuff here, and I have these labeled as one, and so I'm going to try to let's do one at a time. I'm going to put this one here first. There we go. I thought maybe I could drag it, but it's not letting me, so... I'm going to filming techniques. That's what I want to do anyhow. So I'm going to do setup 1. And then also whatever the lowest number is here, because that should correspond to it. So in order to highlight two files that are not next to each other, I just hold down the command button. In Windows, I'd hold Control. I'm going to hit import to select, and I'm going to select those two to import. And now they should be there, and we should be able to get started. Let's take a look and see. Here's the main one that I want, and I just dragged it down. And if it seems like my computer's working kind of slow, it is. It's partly because I've got Zoom open at the same time, because I'm supposed to be teaching right now, but I can see my students on another window, and they're all just sitting there working. So I don't know if I'll have to stop this because I get interrupted, and that's fine if I do. Alright, so what I want to try to do is do something called picture-in-picture. And I've never tried to do that on iMovie, but the basic idea in Final Cut Pro, and I'm just going to try to do the same thing, is that you take the pictures and you put one on top of the other, and then you just have to shrink one of them. So I'm essentially going to try that out and see if that works. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and then scoot over, so I can kind of mimic these together. You have to sync these up. In fact, what I should have done, if I'd thought about this better, I should have synced the audio together, but because that's how you match up two different cameras. But I think I could see them pretty well. We started at almost the same time, and so it's just a matter of making sure that my audio's together. Okay, and we're recording. How's it going, Cougars? This is Mr. York, and it looks like I've got a chimney coming out of my head. I'm gonna... Okay, that's pretty cool, actually. That's actually pretty well together. I don't need this to be perfect for this video, but what we need to do is resize this one. So I'm going to take this one, and when we're looking for some way to resize it, and let's take a look at some of the different things we've got. Video overlay settings. Let's go to cropping, because I think that's typically what I want. Crop to fit, Ken Burns, I don't want that. And I don't want that, so... what I want is a transition. Let's try the video overlay settings and see if that's what we want. Cutaway, no. Opacity is interesting. Let's see if we do that. If we change the opacity, we've got them together. So that's a cool thing to know how to do. I like that. We're not going to do cutaway. There is green screen, blue screen, split screen, picture-in-picture. That's the one we want. So let's try that and see what that looks like. There it is right there. And, oh, I did it right. Okay, cool. So that's the one that I wanted. And I wasn't sure about how this was going to work, but given my framing, I think I'm going to try to do it maybe like that. I was kind of picturing it in the lower right-hand corner, but because I didn't film this one correctly, I feel like that's where the most space is. So let's watch this real quick and see if that's where I want it to be and see how that looks. Okay, and we're recording. How's it going, Cougars? This is Mr. York, and it looks like I've got a chimney coming out of my head. I'm gonna try to address that in a second. So I'm recording right here in front of you on my laptop, as well as over here so that you can kind of see my setup. You'll notice that I've got several... So that's pretty cool because it actually does what I want it to do, and you can see me in both situations. And I think that's pretty good. So what I want to do then is go down and just take one of the audios and get rid of it, so that I only have one audio. And I think the one that I want to record with is the one that I'm closest to. I'm closest to the laptop microphone. That's this one down here. So I'm probably just going to keep that one. Let's see. Several boxes. Again, these come from Amazon. They send them to you when you order stuff, and they're free. And this is how they work. If you have a pet, or you have a cat or a dog or something like that that's going to run around and knock your expensive equipment off, then please, you should probably lock up your pet. I'm not requiring you to do anything. Again, I can't require you to buy anything. If you guys have the opportunity to buy a tripod, then obviously that's going to work the best. I have this really bad habit of saying the same word over and over again when I record videos extemporaneously. In this case, the word I like to use is obviously. Obviously, I like to use the word obviously. I don't think things are that obvious. It's not something that you should say. That's just me being a punk and not recording things well. So I'm going to take my audio and punch it up a little bit, which again, you just have to grab the sound bar and put it up. Let's see. If you have a camera, then that'll work even better than your laptop. But I understand you wanting to use your laptop because obviously it's so... I did it again. Do you see that? Oh, it's terrible. This is why you guys should always write your scripts out instead of trying to do it extemporaneously. Extemporaneously means vamping, means on the fly, without writing, without any prep, you just start recording. And that's what I did with this one, and the unfortunate part of that, even though I feel like I like this video okay, and I did all right, the dialogue that I have is kind of choppy. I pause a lot. I say a lot, which is what we call nervous slang, or like, when you're saying that all the time. We try to avoid that whenever we make a video, whenever we record ourselves. So this looks pretty good, and I actually have, look at this change right here. Look at that. And I changed it so that I have extra lights on. So this is a cool video. I'm going to work on it, and I hope you've enjoyed this video and it helps you out with getting started in iMovie and doing some different things like picture-in-picture. And again, just so you guys see it, up here at the top, there are several different options, including picture-in-picture, cutaway, green and blue screen, split screen, and they're all right there. So proving once again that just about everything that I do in Final Cut Pro, I can do in iMovie. The biggest difference between the two is when we do multicam. Multicam is not a feature in iMovie from what I understand. At least it never used to be. You know, I should check the new version, but I don't believe that it is. Multicam is when you have a situation just like this, where you have two or more cameras and you're trying to sync them all up. The difference is that you're not doing picture-in-picture. Instead, what you're doing is you're picking one camera or the other. So it would be this camera, then back to this camera, then back to this camera, and then maybe there's a third camera. And if I'm going to use the whole screen as one camera, then obviously multicam is the way to go. It's a lot easier than trying to sync them, and the multicam will actually sync your audio automatically, which is really great. So cool features. All right, anyhow, that is enough of that. I hope this helped you out. If not, send me an email. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for watching. Now get to work.